Our hero is a child's pet turtle named Shelly. She has a very unusual ability. Whenever Shelly swims through a body of water, she can control how fast time moves within it. If she swims slowly through a river, she freezes it completely so that her owner can go ice skating with his friends. But if she swims really fast, she speeds up the flow of water until it evaporates and the puddle she was swimming in disappears altogether. One day, Shelly's owner had to go somewhere, so he left Shelly at home all by herself. But just as he left, a dark cloud appeared over the house and rain began pouring out of the sky. But this wasn't just any storm. It was a greedy storm who wanted to flood the entire town and destroy everything in its path. And as the rain fell harder and harder, Shelly knew that she had to do something to stop him. She swam to the window and watched the storm cause chaos in the streets below. Cars were getting swept away, and people were desperately running for higher ground. The greedy storm laughed as he saw the destruction he was causing. "Ha ha," he boomed. "Let's see you stop me, little girl." But Shelly wasn't scared. Instead, she had an idea. She just needed to find the source of the storm's power, and then she could freeze it. She raced out the front door and into the raging waters. The greedy storm noticed her and sent a bolt of lightning crashing down toward her. But Shelly was too quick. She dove under the water just as the lightning hit, and then she swam as fast as she could toward the sound of the storm's booming laughter. Finally, she found him hiding behind a big oak tree. He was using his staff to channel his powers and cause the flooding. If she could get close enough, she could freeze his staff and end his rampage. But the greedy storm was too powerful. Every time Shelly got close, he would whip around and unleash another bolt of lightning. Just when she thought she might be defeated, Shelly remembered what her mother had taught her. Her mother was a waterbender, and she used to sing a special lullaby to Shelly whenever she was scared. The song was supposed to help Shelly control her powers, but she had never really thought much of it before. Could the song help her defeat the greedy storm? Taking a deep breath, Shelly began to sing, and the sound of her voice echoed through the storm. The greedy storm paused and listened, and for a moment, his face softened. The melody seemed to calm him down a little. Shelly kept singing as she slowly approached him. The greedy storm tried to lash out with his staff, but Shelly was too quick. She dove under his staff and froze it solid with her powers. Then she kept singing as she climbed onto his staff and raced up to his face. The greedy storm tried to yell, but all that came out was a surprised gasp. Shelly continued to climb until she reached his eyes, and she froze them solid. The greedy storm struggled to break free, but it was no use. Shelly's powers were too strong. As she froze his entire body, the storm finally calmed down and became still. With the storm defeated, the rain immediately stopped and the clouds parted, revealing a bright blue sky. Then, as if nothing had ever happened, the sun began shining down on the flooded streets. Shelly jumped off the staff and watched as the water around her returned to normal. The frozen river became a flowing river once more. The giant puddles turned back into small puddles. And as the water flowed more calmly, she could feel her own powers returning to normal. She was exhausted after the battle, and it was beginning to get dark. So she knew it was time to head home. As she made her way back, she passed by the oak tree where she had fought the greedy storm. And as she walked by, she noticed a tiny sprout pushing its way out of the ground. A small seed had been lying dormant under the tree the whole time, and now it was finally able to grow. Shelly smiled, realizing that the storm hadn't just caused destruction. He had also helped new life to grow. Maybe there was a reason for everything that happened. When she got home, her owner wasn't there yet, but she didn't mind. She curled up on the couch and closed her eyes, still humming the lullaby her mother had taught her. Suddenly, she heard the front door open, and she quickly hid under a blanket. Her owner walked in and looked around. "Shelly, is that you?" he called out. "Come here, girl." Shelly peeked out from under the blanket. She didn't want to scare her owner, so she slowly unfroze her tail and wiggled it out. Then she unfroze her legs and hopped off the couch. She walked over to her owner and rubbed against his leg. "There you are," he said, scratching her head. "I was getting worried." He hugged her tightly. "You're the best turtle a guy could ask for," he whispered. Then he picked her up and walked her over to the window. "You saved this town today, Shelly. You truly are amazing." And as Shelly looked out the window at the town, she realized that her owner was right. She had been scared at first, but she had faced her fears and done what was right. And now the town was safe. A warm feeling filled her heart as she snuggled up to her owner. She had learned that even though she was just a small turtle, she could make a big difference in the world. All she had to do was believe in herself and never give up. From that day on, Shelley and her owner were even closer than before. They went on long walks by the river every day, and Shelley would tell her owner all about her adventures. She told him about the talking animals and the magical creatures she had met. And as he listened to her stories, he couldn't help but feel a sense of wonder. He knew that Shelley's adventures were real, and he was so happy that she was a part of his life. Meanwhile, the other townspeople began to rebuild their lives. They worked together to clear the streets and repair their homes. And as they did, they shared stories about the brave turtle who had saved them. Soon the town was back to normal, and everyone lived happily ever after. The end.